It's like they dying in my pathway. I see it in the eyes and they cry. I'm at that basket. Too much on my mind, you know my heart aches. The beast way over for me to partake. So we just party. Gangstar pass me the full clip, but I ain't even got the balls to pull it. Plus it ain't foolish. But do we listen to what they tell us and are we really for it? Stepping steady, I'm forever ready. See me man, see some Teddy rapping with the Honda while my Machiavelli. See them tired of these plans and it's
let me add you in. Hold on. Turn this music off.
What, dog?
You saying, bro?
Good. Good. I kind of feel like you're gonna make a cocky joke, bro, the way that you're smiling. Like you're gonna say something. Let's just get the insults out the way from now. You're gonna say something. Like, what? Like you're gonna say something to mock me or something that I'm posting. Just get it out the way. Get it out the way now. I don't want you to be saying cocky stuff throughout this interview, and then it's.
Wait, I didn't know. I looked at. I was like, "Raw, my man's skin's glowing." I was like, "Raw, what's he? Did you just cookie cream?" You know what's there, man?
Listen, looking outside, I use coconut oil and them thing there. Like I always glow. Trust me. I always do. And like I'm well groomed out here. Like I cut my hair myself. The beard that is. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, you're out here looking like Teddy Pendergrass.
I'm out here looking organic, bro. What are you talking about?
Nah, bro, Teddy Pendergrass. I said the same thing to Henny today, bro. He must have Instagram like in the messenger thing, like, and phoned me while I was driving, and I must have saw it, like, bro. He was looking like a caveman out here.
Yeah. Yeah, trust. But you know what? For me, I'm loving it right now. I'm loving this lockdown because, you know, we're going to get into those conversations in a minute. But for me, it's like, you know, what perfect time for everything to be shut down and just focus now on working. You get me? Focus now on creating content, you know, and just, yeah, literally like just focused on what man needs to do.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
saying? Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, shout out Great Guns, what you saying?
Okay. That was good, man. It's good. Just give it a couple more minutes, maybe a few more seconds, and then we'll start.
We got break hands once again. Yeah, bruv. I heard your tune. I think I was the first one to comment on it, so, you know what I mean? I was going to screen munch it and post it on my status, but I'll do that probably later on today. But yeah, man. Yeah, man, big up still. But yeah, man, I'm loving the lockdown as well still. That's time to focus on yourself, just get stuff done, you know what I mean? And it's like, I think, at this, like where we are now, I think some people, they're not used to the isolation, but if you're like a creative person that's been like working from home or in the studio or whatever the case may be, like this ain't really nothing new. You're used to the unsociable hours, just being indoors, locked up, just doing your thing, you know, socializing when you need to or going to the shop or whatever. And then it's normal. And that's normal for me. So it hasn't really affected me. But some of my friends that like might have, I don't know, like a 9 to 5, you know what I mean? Like it might be different for them, you know, because obviously they got to commute to work. They got to worry about, you know, wages and whatever else being affected. But when you're like a creative, like the money's up and down anyway. You might have a good month 1 minute and then a bad month the next, or a week, or whatever the case may be. So, yeah. Shout out Adrian. I think that's one of your dogs, isn't it?
Adrian, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, Adrian. He's got a sick podcast called The Sound of Accra, and basically he just interviews a lot of like African diasporans who obviously got business in Ghana or working in Ghana or just in tune with Ghana and trying to push the whole movement and whatnot. You get me? So yeah, man, I'm gonna start in a sec. I'm just sharing it again in one group, and then
1 sec. I just got to get something. Wait there.
Yeah. I'll share. Right. No worries, Adrian, man. Much appreciated.
So
Looking forward
right now,
to the next episode.
shout out Eddie. Yeah, man. Right now, I'm working on some Nathaniel Nuke pages. Like I've been working all day. Went out a bit to do some shopping and stuff, and writing as well. What else did I do today? Been working on some animated music video content as well. That's been taking me ages. I'm doing like 5 different music videos at the same time. But
Okay,
I'm using the same assets and that's why it's kind of been easy to do. But yeah, man.
Now, I want to talk to you about that now. So obviously we're going to start. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jess, founder of New Motive, World of Creativity. You've got Wayne Riley Art here with me as well. And really and truly, we're just going to be talking about a lot of creative stuff that's going on right now. We're going to try and help a lot of creatives focus during this time of lockdown and quarantine and the whole COVID-19. And we're also going to just talk about the F.E.A.R pandemic, really. That's just kind of influenced a lot of people's mindsets into how they should be interacting for the next 6-7 months, you know, due to the whole COVID-19 thing. But obviously, first off, I wanted to chat to you about, because obviously I know you personally, you know me personally as well. We've worked together on many different things.
Unfortunately.
Look at this unfortunate guy. Well, obviously, like, we need to talk about All Nights, because obviously, you know, it's very unique right now in terms of the representation that we're trying to push, or you're trying to push a lot more with black characters, black comics and whatnot. And again, you just said you was working on Nathaniel Nuke, so some people might even know what Nathaniel Nuke is. So just give us a little quick backstory on All Nights and Hardwired and what's currently going on right now with that.
All right. So All Nights, for those that don't know, I mean, most of you probably do. That's like basically an independent comic book company that was created by myself, Alicia Mason, David Riley, Jason Simeone, and Darius Cummins. 3 of them have left so far, but it's still going on. And obviously yourself and Solomon Gamra, they joined later on. And it was, the whole idea was basically we wanted to do animated movies and stuff like that, like proper cartoons. But what we started realizing is that the amount of work that goes into making an animated feature, like, it's a lot of work, like a lot of work. So I think before you joined, we started doing more comics. The reason we did comics is because comics is a good way to kind of like introduce people, like source material. So say, for example, we got like a voice actor to do one of the characters. How they would get the character and research the character they're playing, they could read one of the comics. So that was the initial idea of getting into comics. And then obviously it snowballed from there. We started selling them at events, Comic-Con, blah, blah, blah. And it just kind of went on from there. And we focused on like black superhero characters and like black stories. We kind of did more science fiction, but then we got into African mythology later on. The one that we got out at the moment is Hardwired issue 1. That's there. And then that's issue 2. And then that's issue 3. Yeah. And on my Instagram, you might see some pages. That's of issue 4. Alicia's got her one out called Night Soul as well. And she's working on, oh yeah, we got number 2 as well. But got no copy to that because that one sold out. And yeah, she's working on 3 to 4. And kind of answered it, didn't I? But yeah, just basically working on like a lot of content that we started from scratch. So we created the stories ourselves. Like, we actually wrote it from the beginning, designed the characters. We designed the characters ourselves. In some cases, we would draw the comic pages ourselves. In others, we would hire other artists to work for us to do it, and then other people to do that other work. But that way, it just kind of makes things easier to do because you can kind of like streamline the work process. So like, you get one person to say, for example, write the script. Another person will draw the characters or draw the pages. Another person will do the color. Another person will do lettering, that kind of thing. So
it's obviously with this time now, we've seen a lot of content being created in general. So I know with especially like black African superheroes. I mean, we know the Marvel stuff already, like Black Panther, and well, that's the only one at the moment. I don't think there's any other black superheroes that I'm aware of that's out mainstream right now. Obviously, there's loads in the comic.
You could say Black Lightning, but that's not a film, is it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Black Lightning. I forgot about Black Lightning.
Luke Cage.
Oh, yeah, there's a... Yeah, that's kind of...
You know what? There was that one called... is it Raising Dion? I think it was.
Oh, Raising Dion on Netflix. Yeah, I've seen it. I ain't watched it. Yeah, I've seen it being advertised.
Because I remember when the news of that one first come out, and it's like I haven't watched it because I just haven't had the time to like. When it comes to TV shows, I don't get too distracted because there's too many. But the reason I didn't watch Raising Dion, another reason was people was like they liked the black representation, but what they don't realize is that the creator of it wasn't black. I'm not saying that's an issue. Anyone can create what they. But some people were jumping on it for the wrong reasons, saying, "Yeah, you know," and I'm like, "Yeah, but it ain't by us, and like it is what it is." So,
I think for me, looking at creating, obviously, because we're going to get into creating content in a minute. Yeah, but I think with these things is really good with All Nights, and obviously a lot of these other black characters that are coming out now. So there's been a lot of misrepresentation in our narrative, in our history. So I feel like having, you know, these comic books are going to be looked upon in a timeline, maybe 45 years from now or 100 years from now, as ancient history.
A bit sooner than that, I would hope.
A bit sooner, obviously, but I'm talking about in terms of longevity, because one thing I've learned, I've kind of thought of in this whole entire, like, you know, new world 2020 kind of thing is that everything that's being created right now via YouTube, social media and whatnot is going to be on the records for like probably hundreds of 1,000 years later, I personally believe, because of the way AI is going to start moving into, you know, control everything. And right now we're in that age of information. So if you look at ancient times, like, for example, ancient Egypt or ancient Kemet, I should say, even ancient Greece, you know, there was like hundreds and hundreds of scribes, priests. There was a lot of like different types of philosophers, poets, because they believed about the importance of recording history and creating, obviously, you know, creating, you know, memories of events that had happened. That's how we're able to go back in time and research all this sort of stuff. So when it comes to you, because I wanted to ask you, because I'm creating right now. So right now I'm creating something. I don't want to say it because obviously, you know, copyright and trademark legislations. But again, I'm creating something right now, and it's really deep. It's going to be based upon Ghanaian folklore, and some people know already that are probably tuned in. But I've done a lot of research into this alone because I've realized watching Marvel and DC animated movies, there's a lot of backstory that goes behind the character. So when you're watching an animated movie like, for example, Prince of Egypt, let's just say Disney, Prince of Egypt, there's a lot of history that goes into them developing the landscapes, the architecture, the design, the actual character itself, because the character has to have a body of work. So that, like you said, when the voice actor comes to do the voiceovers and is able to look, he's got something to reference from. Two,
exactly.
The director also has to create that same kind of imagination in that person's mind who's going to be acting out these sort of things as well, even with the animators. Because when I was at uni creating content, I always learned that there was a significant amount of research done, but you always had to go back. You always had to go back in time or back to reference on what you were trying to build right now in the future. So with some of your characters, I've noticed you've got Hardwired, which is obviously you know your comic series. There's a particular character called Nathaniel Nuke, and it's funny because as we're talking right now, you know, we're hearing a lot of speculation on AI, how we're going to start getting these nano chips, chips that are being put into people's hands to actually help them communicate and just upgrade their way of communication now. So I don't know if you've seen that trailer for Years on Years. I don't watch it. I've just seen the trailer on YouTube, and it was really interesting because it was like a clip of the episode, and there's this girl, this black girl, she's got like these chips inside her hand, she goes to meet her mum for coffee and these implants.
Is it a new thing? Yeah.
I think it looks like it might be quite new, like maybe a couple years old. Obviously, whoever's in the comment section, you can help me out here because I'm really, really terrible with TV shows. Years on years, I don't know how old it is, but anyway, with this clip, it was quite strange because I'm watching it, and she's chatting to her mum, and then she goes to mum, "Oh, call me on my mobile phone." So her mum calls her, and basically her phone rings, but it's not her phone; it's her hand. So she answers her phone like this. Yeah, like literally like that. And obviously she starts to talk and whatnot. So her mum's like, what the hell? Like, and then my mum obviously started looking deeper into it and clocked that like she's actually talking from her hand. And then she showed her, I've got these chips and whatnot. So, it's about these experiments they were trying to put into people from earlier on about technology and whatnot that's going to help people communicate via whatever. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, wow, this is hardwired. This is Nathaniel Newt. This is, the whole entire storyline of that. So it was quite fascinating to see something that you've created and obviously in real time in another concept that's probably going to actually, reconcile at one point or become relevant. What do you do to get yourself in that space of creating? Because for me, sometimes it is a bit hard. I have visions, I get dreams, sometimes I just get thoughts in my head and I'll write things down. But obviously, for someone like yourself who actually draws these characters as well, what kind of thought space do you get your mindset into? Like, what kind of prep do you do to actually start saying, right, I want to create these characters and whatnot?
Well, it's usually when I've seen something or read something that I might get an idea or might get reminded of an idea that I had. I can literally have the idea anywhere. I could be driving, I could be working, I could be just laying in bed or just woken up or whatever. It could be like fragments of a dream that I've had or something. So the idea could come at random. But in terms of my process, it's like I might just write the idea down. Like, for example, if I'm driving and an idea comes to mind, I'll either wait till the traffic lights have gone red or I'll pull up and I'll just quickly type it in my phone because I've got 2 phones. So I'll WhatsApp the idea for myself on my other number, so I won't forget it. But if I'm kind of like more in a more settled environment, like say if I'm, I don't know, at work or sitting down and I've got a pencil and paper handy, I might just like write some notes, but I might do a little random sketch as well. So it kind of depends on the mood, because sometimes when you write something, if you come back to it later on, it might not make much sense when you read back at it. Whereas when you draw it, it kind of more triggers a memory. Well, for me anyway, triggers a memory. And then more ideas might flow from that. So it's a combination of just rough notes or rough sketches. In a way, I wouldn't even say I write all the time. Sometimes I visually just storyboard it out, like really rough. Or I might just kind of sketch out one particular scene, and then that's all I need to remember. That's it. That's literally that's the beginning stages for me.
Okay, see, so because for me it's like, I watch a lot of documentaries, yeah. And
before you go on, shout out to Sketchnificent, big up Natalie, and big up Royce, all the people that's joined. Shout out to my cousin Mark. I see you. Continue.
Yeah, no, I see in the comments we're gonna get to a few of these guys. Someone said they've seen that years on years thing I was talking about. Oh, that's Lucy. Yeah, Elvit. Okay, cool. So yeah, but anyway, it's really crazy because they already had a mad creative block because I was consuming so much information, and I was reading one book right now by Dr. Kaba. I'm gonna get his name wrong. Dr. Kaba Kamani, I should say. I can't pronounce the second part. But anyway, he's got a book called Spirituality Before Religions, and it's just talking about a lot of African history that's happened throughout the past and whatnot, from ancient Egypt and ancient Nubia and whatnot. So when I'm creating, I find that it's easier to sometimes, you know what, I'll get initial thought in my head. Like nowadays, I roll with my notebook. The last 2 months, I've been rolling with my notebook. Like I'll get a thought in my head, I'll have to write it down. And obviously, I'm not really that good at drawing, so sometimes I'll try and draw certain things as well. And I've learned that it really, really helps. You know, I was there, like, because I'll have, and even at one point, I had bare sticky notes on my desk.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was crazy. Kind of forming that
into as well, still. Like, see notebooks here, I got a whole heap of them. I went to the pound shop and I must have bought like 10. One time.
Yeah.
One's going to be for the manual nuke, that's going to be for hardwired, that's going to be for this, they're all under my desk right now, like, and try know, when it comes to, like, moving stuff around, that pile's heavy. Like, there's more than 10 now, there's like 20 stuff. Like, it's mad. So,
yeah,
writing down, good, but end up sifting through lots of paper.
Okay, see. I've actually, because again, you've done comics, you've published comics yourself, I've witnessed it, the process. But the process that I haven't witnessed, obviously, on some parts is, like I said, the creative thinking and creating content.
Yeah.
With your comic books now and your drawing of characters and whatnot, what would you advise content creators right now in terms of the best format? Because I know for me, as I'm creating this animated story, this movie I'm trying to create, I'm going via the stuff I learned at university, which is create a pre-production folder. Because a pre-production folder is very easy for anyone to look at in terms of like investment, directors, any other writers that you wanted to have on board as well. When it comes to actually, you know, marketing or displaying what your story is or what your actual entire idea is. So what would you use in 2020? Because obviously now we've got a lot of digital, you know, folders, notebooks and stuff like that you can use online. Some people use PDF documents. It all depends on how. But what would you use in your actual like research and whatnot that you've actually done?
All right. Before I go on my long rant to answer this question,
yeah.
No, there's a reason I'm making this. The reason I'm going to answer this way. First and foremost, anyone out there, shout out Solomon, I see you. You know, so Solomon Gamera art, big up my guy. Now, first thing I'm going to say here, like the whole what the process is or what software, when it comes to me, and I make this clear to anybody, whether I'm talking to someone my age, whether I'm talking to a young person, whether I'm talking to a 5-year-old that's into drawing, learn the basics of using this. I'm going to show you. And anyone can do it. Anyone can get this from anywhere. You see this? This is a pencil. Yeah? You can buy a packet of like 20 of these for £1 from the pound shop. Yeah? You can do it in the ends, Peckham, Brixton, Harlesden, I don't care where. Pratt's Bottom and Plymouth. You can buy a pencil. And then you get a piece of paper and you just start sketching. That's it. Like, that's where it starts. Yeah? Because I see a lot of people, yeah, they get drunk and they get lost in the whole, what software should I use and should I use this or is it better to use that? And it don't matter. Different people have got different processes. Some people use this software, some people use that. I use pencil and paper, yeah? That's what I do first. And I've showed you, I might draw something, I'll draw a character, and then I'll draw up something like, I don't know, that. Don't know if you can see that. Yeah? Mm-hmm. That's pencil and paper. There has been no computer involved. Okay? Now, after I've drawn it like that, then I'll put it in a computer, and then I'll do something like that.
Yeah, I see that.
Pencil and paper is the foundation. Like, you don't want to be one of these artists here that end up turning like how the rap game is right now, where there's people out here that can't write. They're just doing it off their head and putting it in their phone, and they get into the studio and they're saying whatever else. There's no thought into it. Like, you can tell when a thing's been made in like an hour. And it's the same thing like when you're doing artwork, innit? Like when you put some thought into it. Nathaniel Nuke is a character that I've been working on since I was at London Met University. And I can't even remember what year I graduated. But it was before I even knew him. So,
you're showing your age.
Yeah, man. I can't remember the year. But it was like, it's got to be over 10 years ago that I created him. But obviously I've worked on him since, and it is what it is now. Even the way that he's dressed and how he looks and what have you, he looks completely different because I've decided to do an origin story for him. So like I said, pencil and paper is the first thing, and then just, you know, go digital, and then maybe just. In fact, you're gonna have to go digital at some stage, because when you start working with other artists, and you start maybe getting people to collab with you, or you might get someone else to color for you and whatnot. They might be using this program or whatever, so they need the raw file sent to them. Another thing, man, everyone watching this right now, if you're an artist, and again, I have to do this right. If you are an artist, this is what you call yourself, yeah? Please invest in a scanner. You can buy one for under 100 quid. I've got sneakers that cost more than that. You can afford it. Buy an A3 scanner, not no A4 thing. A3. Yeah? Buy an A3 scanner. Reason being, because when you start working with other artists overseas and what have you, they're going to work. But when they work on comic book pages, they use A3. You know what I'm trying to say? So it becomes easy. Don't try the cheat thing of doing 2 A4 scans and putting it together. Don't do that. You're just going to get laughed at. You're going to come like them people who try to hop the bus and try not to swipe the oyster. Don't do that. Just buy the A3. Yeah? So buy the A3 scanner, pencil and paper. That is your friend. That's where you start. That's all you need. After that, you're going to be able to buy software. You know, someone might have a copy that they can give you. You might have access to it at college or uni. I bought Clip Art Studio for like £50. It was like some promotion. Alicia got it as well. Like, I just said, look, you can get this thing and whatever else, and you know what I mean? That's it.
So that's from I would say from an artist or creative, perspective in terms of how to actually, visualize, record, and display their content. Now, how do you, if you're somebody that's not artistic in drawing or animating, how do you then go about that? Because, for example, for myself, I'm more graphic design, logo design, and branding. My sketch is not done in character design. Or
we know, bro. Yeah, shout out. So, see the little promotion. I'm promoting 2 brands at the same time, you know. Shout out Dexter. Shout out Karen. You get me?
Yeah. Shout out Jamaica Valley still.
What I do, and I know things.
But yeah, and Mula Cake Clothing, shout them out. I'm due to get a tracksuit from there soon. But for example, someone like myself, you can't draw as artistic as you're just the printouts you just shown just now. How do I then coordinate that? Because obviously right now, which we're going to go into in a minute, in terms of the whole network which is open right now in 2020, this whole pandemic has just opened up a huge online network. I feel like I get stuck at times when I'm thinking, right, who should I use to draw this, or who should I use to draw that? So, for example, right now, I'm at the stage where I'm creating a story. I've got the characters in my head and what they look like, but obviously I need somebody to draw concept art.
Yeah.
Then I need somebody to obviously draw a character bio in terms of the whole 360 turn points and whatnot, to actually show the character in all different forms and whatnot. Just same things you show me. How do I replicate that if I haven't got the skill set? Okay, well, for you or anyone watching, I'm going to put this up in my Dropbox. In fact, it's in my Dropbox already, but I'm going to post the link. Basically, what I do, I spent some time doing different body templates for different people. So, for example, I've got one here that's like of a heavy set build woman kind of thing. That's one. Then I've got another one here of like a slim but athletic kind of build. And I've got this like a young boy kind of look with their jeans. I've got the model type look. So then I've got the bulky, So what's the? Okay, yeah, sorry, go on, yeah.
One of them is because what I realized, just to answer your question, a lot of people are struggling in how to design their characters. So they might have an idea, but they don't know where to start because, like you said, they might not be the best artists. But they definitely know in their head if they want their character to be tall, small, fat, slim, blah, blah, blah. So what I did now to make it easier for other artists, I've designed all those different body templates, and then I'll pass it on. I'll just put it back on my website or whatever, download it, and then just kind of like trace over it, and then kind of put the details of what you want your character to look like, but using mine as a kind of skeleton. You with me? So it's like you could use piece of paper or like a light box or something like that, and then just kind of like draw over it. You with me? Because a lot of the female characters I've got, they all use the same body template. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I would recommend to you, because otherwise you'll spend more time getting anatomy right than actually drawing your character.
Okay.
And the reason I do that as well is because if you design your character first, at least you know in your head what it is. And if you've got that style sheet of what the character looks like, of the turnarounds, shout out Sketch, you know the turnaround. You'll then be able to use that as a reference point when you pass it on to other artists that might work for you. Because then straight away, if they've got that little template of what the character looks like, from like the front, the back, the side, blah, 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 they straight away know what the character looks like. You with me? So then they can't then be like, oh, well, I've drawn this, but I don't know what it's like at the back of his head and blah, blah, blah. Like, you've given them the style sheet. And so this is another one that you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
It shows the back, it shows the side, it shows the front. You with me? So every angle you know. I mean, I'm even going to go further and do a facial expression sheet so I can do facial expressions. You know what I mean? So that'll help. So once you've kind of got that of your character, you'll also develop more skills yourself as you go along. And then you might find that some of the people that you're hiring to do stuff for you, you might not even need them as much because you're more confident doing it yourself. So it almost works like practice for you, but it's also a time for you to kind of develop your character as well. With me.
So essentially, it's about having enough visualization yourself on paper so that when you do bring it to a team of animators or designers or riggers or whatever, there's enough for them to actually see and actually say, okay, cool, well, this is what I can work from, this is what we can enhance and whatnot. It's funny because...
the legal reason for that as well, because what you don't want to happen is the person that you paid to draw it for you, they can then try and pretend that they created it for you, or like they created it from scratch, and then you're going to have some legal disputes. You with what I'm trying to say? Whereas if you did your thing and you kind of made sure it was copywritten to yourself first before you pass it on, they can do a version if you want, but initially you designed it. It's like, for example, the page is in Hardwired, like there's characters in it. Like there's a famous shot that I know that most people have seen, splash page in Hardwired. I'll show it to you. Like this is a popular one and definitely one of my favourites. Yeah, this one here.
Okay.
That's the big thing, yeah. Like, but what it is, I designed the layout for that sheet when I passed it on to the artist called Sean Allen. And my friend Yelenia in Italy, she did the colour. But the actual layout of everything you see here, like this character here holding the gun, I just did a rough sketch and passed it on to him. But even the characters that you see there, I designed them myself individually on pencil and paper first, just like with those other sheets that I showed you. I designed all of them. You with me? So once you got that, there could never be then a dispute saying, oh, well, I did that and it's really mine. No, it ain't. So that's another way you can kind of protect yourself. That's what I would recommend people to do.
Okay. I feel like it's funny because right now I'm going to ask every creative I get on this whole entire podcast these questions as well when it comes to creating content. What's your predictions for 2020 in terms of, you know, creativity and whatnot? The reason why I'm saying that is because from 2014, I've been seeing a surge of, you know, entrepreneurs, creatives as well. I mean, I didn't even know the term creative until a few years back. So I'll be honest with you, to be honest. So, and it's a mixture of all different ages. You're getting a lot of older people that are coming out of retirement. So, for example, rappers like Joe Budden, who's come out of retirement of rap and has now gone into rap or talk about the culture. So instead of him rapping about it now, he's talking about it and has grown a huge platform, you know, online alongside Revolt TV and whatnot, and just basically commenting on his opinion on the culture and whatnot. In the UK here, you've got people like Lippy, ZZ Mills. You've got people like, even with just the surge of like Link Up TV and SBTV becoming their own, like, you know, online platforms that capture the culture. So with 2020 now, during this quarantine and this whole COVID-19 stuff, you know, I think when you're actually looking at content to create, where can someone start? What do you predict in the sense of the new wave that's going to come? So, for example, podcasts right now are becoming really, really. I mean, a lot of them are really vidcasts. If you want to keep it, technical, because obviously podcast is more audio. But podcasts have become like it's been a whole surge of podcasts right now. The last 3 years, I would say personally. I think Adrian in the comments said, I think Joe has a YouTube podcast. Yeah, he's got a YouTube podcast, but his actual podcast is on Spotify, and I think Spotify that's what he's signed to, or whoever pays him. That's where he gets a lot of his money from. So, but yeah, with 2020, because I know at the beginning of the year, everyone was like, 2020 is the year. This is going to be the year. Like, boom, I'm going to create.
It's been a year.
It's been a year. And bro, we haven't even got halfway yet, and the world is just in a madness right now. But on a positive note, I'm seeing a whole entire framework open up. So, for example, everyone is online now. When I mean everyone, I mean everyone. And I've seen a lot of, I ain't tuned in, but I've seen a lot of the celebrities doing stuff like, for example, Swiss Beats versus Timberland. They're doing Instagram lives where they're going round for round with their hit records and whatnot, which could possibly be a new way of income if we still stay in our houses for the next 6-7 months.
Because I can tell.
I'm gonna finish the question and point just before you. I know you got your opinion and stuff already on certain things. So, but and obviously you're seeing a lot of conversations happen. Even for myself, I said, "Right, okay, cool. I can't be in the studio filming because I was just about to, start filming my actual podcast and whatnot. Now this is perfect. I can get people at home in their comfort on Insta Live. I do prefer to meet in person, but obviously, the government rules ain't permitting that. With this new framework that I'm calling that's opened up, which I'm calling framework, like, what do you predict is the next thing in 2020 as a creative yourself? What do you think is going to be the next kind of move?
Well,
aside from what you're seeing now.
Well, because a lot of creatives are disproportionately broke, I think a lot of people are going to sell off their content real quick for the first bit of money they get offered, because, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people that are creative, they got jobs and stuff. So they're people that might have been dealing with being furloughed or, just the money situation for a lot of creators isn't the best. I think we can all agree on that. So a lot of us, we're doing something on the side. So basically, what you're going to end up happening is, what you're going to end up seeing is a lot of people that have been creative for a long time that might have been quiet. They're just going to sell on their content to the highest bidder or any bidder that, and that content might go in the hands of whoever. It might be smaller companies, like it might be big companies like Disney, who knows? But ultimately, I don't think much is going to change, because when it comes to the ownership of things, as long as it's kind of owned by the same people, they kind of know to direct you in a certain place. It's like, for example, if I was to sell like Nathaniel Newt to Disney, you wouldn't really notice a difference. You'll just think it's some new character in the Marvel universe. You know what I'm saying? Like, my name might be forgotten. Only a few people like you, Yasmin, that's just coming. Like other people, like you'll know that it's mine, innit? But other people that's new to the game, it's like they'll just be like, oh, another character, another black character. Ooh, great. And that's it. And they'll forget about it. They won't know the history of like what's been going on. They won't know all the stuff that we went through before creating it, all the events we went to, all like the Comic Cons, the Black History Studies events. They're not going to know that. They're not going to know what the journey was. You with me? So I think what's going to end up happening is you're going to see a lot more new stuff coming, but you're not really going to see a difference in society, really. You're just going to see the perception change, and a lot of us are just going to be entertained by what's on the screen. That's it. That's what I think. I'm not trying to say that to sound glam or anything, but because even down to what you said about the podcasting, everyone's doing a podcast, like everyone. And shout out my cousin Jordan. He told us for years to do podcasts. Like, I've got to give him his props. He did say it from time. And he was right. But that wasn't really my thing, like doing the whole interview stuff and X, Y, Z, because I was more just a creative person. It's like, even me, I'm not even that active on Instagram. Like, I just post my work and then I cut. I don't really post pictures of myself that much. There was a time I posted a little bit, or like my son or whatever. But now I just focus on the work and I might not post for a good few weeks. You see what I'm saying? But with social media, it's like you constantly have to put stuff up. And that's the other problem as well. Because these people have to keep on putting up work all the time to stay relevant, they end up having to do things that maybe aren't even in their lane. So it's like this certain, it's like, for example, I don't mind saying it's not a diss to any particular person. Like, I'm a fan of the rapper called Marks. Like, I really like Marks. I think he's sick. But when he starts doing, yeah. But when he start doing like podcasts and that, because of how I see Marks as an artist, I kind of thought that was a bit beneath him. You with me? I think to me, I think he's bigger than that. You with me? But obviously, if that's the lane he wants to go, that's the lane he wants to go. But I think there's so much more that he could do. You with what I'm trying to say? So you're gonna end up having more people doing. Everyone's doing it. You with me? And it's like really.
Yeah, go let you finish. Go on.
It's good if they got a nice personality like Lippy and those people, but ultimately your talent should be what it is. You with me? It's like even Nole, hella talented. You see what I'm saying? I like her music. I might like someone's material that they produce more than them talking to someone. You with me? So, and also when you're doing that, you're kind of taking the exclusivity out of your personality, because we're all waiting for a Mostak interview. Because I don't know who's seen him be interviewed. You get what I'm trying to say?
I think you did one interview with Tim Westwood. I think it was. I'm using music artists because I know people know who these people are. But when you see someone that hasn't been interviewed like in a long time or ever, you look forward to that. But when you start having a podcast and you're there all the time and you're reaching, it's like people get bored. That's just where we're at. So yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Boredom's going to take flight, and a lot of people, they're just going to take it like they're not going to take it as seriously because it's just too easy to obtain. Whereas the material that I'm making or filmmakers are creating, all the rest of it, you're waiting for that. We're all waiting for another season of Top Boy. We're all waiting for season 2 of Gangs of London or whatever else it is. Or we're all waiting for a next Marvel movie, like, because those things take time to make. You can't just make it like that. You have to spend time doing what you got to do, and then when it comes out, then it's like, yeah, it's here. And then you're going to have people talking about it for weeks, doing reviews, having podcasts talking about it. You see what I'm trying to say? So it's a case of, do you want to be the person on the podcast or interviewing people, or do you want to be the person the podcast is about? Or more to the point, do you want to be the person that made the work that's on the podcast people are talking about? That's what I prefer. I don't really want to be, the tool of any kind of subject. I'd rather people talk about the work I'm doing. You with me? So I think.
That thing.
I mean, what you're saying is true, man. I believe in terms of the overflow of content is a bit of a brain surge. Like, there's times where I do go on Netflix to chill out and just watch something because I need to just to watch some. I want to watch something just to relax my brain after working and whatnot. Yeah, and I think I can't select nothing because there's so much, and I feel like because of the way my mindset is at, I'm really trying to grow myself mentally, spiritually as well. And where I'm kind of, my mind is focused on more intellectual kind of stuff. So like my YouTube videos will be people like, London Real. I mean, they're not on there now, but people like Value Entertainment, people like Patrick Bet David, Brother Rich.
But yeah, sorry, go on.
So people like Brother Rich, even Sarnetta TV, like other people that I feel like there's conversation that's going to give me knowledge. That's me in person. So when I switch on to Netflix, I find like there's so much that it kind of just filters. It doesn't really filter through to kind of say. I mean, the documentaries, some of them are amazing. I can't lie. I do watch some of the documentaries. Some of the documentaries are quite good, but again, I feel like there is a lot of, a brain surge in terms of too much content. But I do feel, for me personally, I do feel there's going to be a new world order. And when I say new world order, before anyone starts,
I hate that word.
I know, but I'm going to use it because I think it's strong to use it in what I'm about to say right now. I think there's going to be a new world order of creatives and creativity. Someone said in the comments, I think it was Sketch. He said 2020 is the year where talent is going to rise and talentless is going to fall. And I agree with him to an extent in terms of,
so do I.
If you, in a sense of like, you know, like if you're sitting there and you're at home right now during this whole pandemic, and you have always had an idea to create something outside of your normal 9 to 5. It could just be even just you. I don't know. Let's just say you're an artist and you know how to do fine art with a specific skill. You know, maybe it might be pen cross hatching with pens. It might be oil pastels or whatever. And you've always said, "Rah, I would love to have like a gallery where, you know, only this type of artwork can be displayed," or I would love to have. I personally feel that if you don't start something like that now, between this whole entire year, then you're not going to be part of the new world in terms of the next stage of elevation in creativity. Because entrepreneurs, I believe, are going to take over the world. I believe that's what's happening right now. You're seeing online with this whole coronavirus thing, a lot of entrepreneurs are coming together and they're speaking their truths. You're getting a lot of people that are whistleblowing from certain factors in the main industry, like medicine, science, politics. And they're coming out and they're thinking, well, hold on. I don't have to be a crappy scientist working for a crappy firm that doesn't pay me enough and I've got to rely on a pension. I can actually talk my mind, speak my mind, do my own research and put it on YouTube because there actually is people that want to listen to science or learn science. Do you see where I'm coming from? So, and I feel like that whole entire world is being created right now. That's why you're finding this consistent tussle with the media and whatnot, and which is what I'm going to get into in a minute about this whole F.E.A.R pandemic and COVID-19 and whatnot.
Yeah, that's been a big thing. The fear factor. I mean, the fear factor's always been there, and it's like even the fear of people trying to use the creativity to kind of move forward. Because you know the amount of people I keep meeting that say, "Oh, I can't draw to save my life." Like they just come out with it. It's not like I've even asked them, like, "Oh, can you draw?" They literally just come out with it. Like they lead their introduction to me by saying that they can't draw to save their life, and I'm like, wow, like that's what we're doing. That's how you're starting it. Like, and it's weird because what that tells me is that part of you wants to be created in something. It may not necessarily be art. It might be anything. It could be an idea, and it's like something stopping you from doing it. And my thing is, if you've got the time, just try. I mean, the worst that can happen is at least you try. It's better to regret doing something than regret not doing it. That's basically always been my thing. Because even when I started like the whole comic stuff with All Nights and all my ideas that I've got, I started at a point in my life where I was at university in my second year. And when I went on work experience, I knew straight away from then I wasn't getting a job in this field. The minute I saw the environment, the fact that there was a lot of other people called runners working at the animation studio I was working at. I hate that.
Like,
brother, some of these people was working